I got shushed at the new Indiana Jones that I went to
You
see
got
with a friend.
shushed?
Yeah, I
What
got
were you
shushed.
doing?
I was laughing because it's
Oh,
terrible.
you were laughing.
I was laughing at it, yeah.
And they, shh.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
were
I wasn't
laughing at
laughing
bits
at the
that
wrong
weren't
part.
I wasn't
funny.
laughing at like the comedy bits though. I was
Oh,
laughing
right,
at like disbelief.
Yeah.
How bad it
at
was.
How bad it was, yeah.
Right, yeah, we're back again. And you know what? This is our pop culture section. I'm not that interested in pop culture anymore because when I was writing stuff for it in the not so distant past, all the people who were kind of evaluating what you'd written didn't really appreciate how brilliant and nuanced my ideas were. And you were like, oh, hang on, all the people running this are twats. Okay, so
The people running pop culture.
the people running pop culture today, so pop culture, if it exists in a form that we're happy with, it's purely by accident. Yeah, it's like one of those, farts that you occasionally do that smells actually agreeable, if that ever happens to you. I think you need to have a good constitution for that to happen to you, which luckily is something that I bear. So, one of the things, I've been watching YouTube recently, and I've only recently started watching it, and people have said to me, that's a bit odd, you've got a YouTube channel and you don't watch YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, that is a bit odd. So I started listening to them and going, okay, I'll start watching it. And it keeps sending me pop culture-y things because it wants me to go down a rabbit hole of being really interested in what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've done things on Snow White in the past, but that's old hat because like we were talking about the news, where you had one thing until it starts to wane, and then you have another thing, and then you have... So Snow White is dying out. I'm sure it will come back.
The remake.
The remake, yeah, because they've now got remakes of remakes. There's like a battle of remakes. I don't want to go on about Snow White because it's old hat, okay? It's November the 9th, 2023 now, okay? So that's old news until it comes back later on. They're talking 2025 now. It's really, they're pushing it. It's going to be so old. Yeah, not Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So old and the Seven Deads.
Nice.
It's going to be that. It's going to be that old. So, but I don't want to talk about that. So, we're talking more about something related to that because it's another kind of Disney thing, Disney powered. So Marvel, right? And this thing I watched that was quite clever. There's a lady talking about storytelling. She had nice brown hair and she had a white shirt on, and she was saying, "Oh, what they've done in Disney now is they've made your protagonist into an antagonist and haven't told you." And so you would say, well, "How have they done that?"
Have they done that?
Have they done that?
All right, so both of you said that. How they've done it is in the past, when you had a protagonist, they would be someone who had to struggle, so they'd be like, oh, I've got this mountain to climb, and it's going to be really hard, but I'm going to work hard, I'm going to do all the right things, and eventually my sheer will, resolve, and the fact that I'm doing things in the right way will enable me to overcome that mountain. And that's a classic story. This is what this lady was saying, and I was like, well done.
Tale as old as time.
Tale as old as that's more Disney, right?
We like the underdog.
We like the underdog. People do. They want to hear that story.
Yeah.
But what they do now is they don't have any flaws in the character to begin with. So the character lands perfectly formed. I'm really great. I'm a character. I'm really great. And the only thing that they try to achieve over the course of the movie is to become even more powerful. And so you're like, they're powerful. Will they be more powerful by the end of the film? And
Not as interesting.
Probably they will, because who can stop them? And that, as it turns out, is the kind of thing an antagonist does. They go, because an antagonist at the start of a movie has loads of power. usually in control of things, and their effort is to gain more power. All right,
Mm-hmm.
and that is what they've turned the protagonist into.
Yeah.
Just like, I'd like more power. And usually in the old films, like someone would stop that antagonist from getting more power.
So it's kind of jarring, isn't it, when you have a hero that wants that, and your brain's naturally thinking like, somebody needs to stop this, but then you're supposed to be rooting for them, and then the film ends, and you're like, it feels weird that nobody stopped that person who were they the good guy the whole time, and then you have to piece it together retrospectively. Yeah.
I think they'd
What
like...
if it's not an origin story though of this character, and it's introducing a person that is already in this world and has been for some time? Like, a lot of their flaws are going to have been worked out
Yeah.
because they've lived this life.
There's still a formula to remove power or agency in some way, and then have them work to regain that, or
Okay.
you know.
I think in a nutshell you've described why sequels aren't as good as original movies.
Yeah.
Because that arc is harder to do. Because in the original movie you'd have said, they don't know what they're doing. At the start, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what their powers are. They don't really know how to... Their life's a bit of a mess. And then there's like this scary thing that can kill them as well. Okay? So you just said that. In the second movie, they've got their act together now. We need a bigger thing than the first thing so that they're challenged again. And that's fair enough. But it's not going to be as good as coming from nothing and going somewhere.
But that's what the MCU did so well in up until Infinity War and Endgame, was find ways to find things that kept the stories interesting, whether it was connecting the universe in the very early days, or having a bit of a crossover, having like a cameo from another character. Even that might be enough if you have and also having, I think they had great actors back then. Your Robert Downey Jr.'s and your Chris Evans's and your Chris Hemsworth, even great comedy actor. And I think they had enough to keep the stories fresh in the writing, and we weren't overly saturated by superheroes yet, like we are now, where it's you have to watch all the TV shows, you have to watch all the movies, you have to read all of the external things to follow the through line of the story. Back then, this was all still quite fresh and new, so we still had that level of excitement to carry us through. And they were telling stories, from different worlds and different times and different timelines and different perspectives.
And remember, they had enough characters that they could do an origin story every year for somebody. Yeah. So they could bank on that interesting story.
Whereas you compare that to the DC universe, where they had, what was it, Man of Steel, and then immediately Batman versus Superman, and straight away you have to be like. They skipped straight to the world-threatening threat, which they didn't do in the MCU. These characters had their own little adventures and their little villains that they had.
A villain who was a bit difficult.
Yeah, but not
than the
going to blow up the entire world.
Yeah,
and the DCU was just like, we're going straight to this because we need the big event.
They didn't do enough foreplay.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't tease us enough with the little stories that we wanted.
They didn't light it properly. My recollection of Batman versus Superman is that it was just raining at night.
Very, very dark
for the whole film. And that you would say, okay, well, it's less fatiguing than if we were in kind of a bright clinical room, like for the whole thing. But I would like some...
It's not fun.
Light and shade.
A lot of the MCU is a lot of fun.
Yeah, bright colours.
Yeah, and I think that's partly to do with the actors they cast, because Robert Downey Jr., very good at comedy. Chris Hemsworth, like I said before, very good at comedy. Even Scarlett Johansson, very good at comedy. Mark Ruffalo. Whereas, in the DCU, you've got Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, and Henry Cavill.
And Robert. Yeah.
Robert.
The new Batman.
Oh, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, again.
They're all quite
like
dry.
They're
like muesli, really. They're all very dry people.
You need a lot of light and shade.
A lot of milk.
You need a lot of
sugar and milk.
Raspberry jus.
Yeah.
Jus,
I think.
Yeah, you need dried fruit. You need some sort of
Muesli's
smoothie on the side.
expensive though, so I mean,
That's
you know,
it.
to buy all that extra stuff as well to make it palatable is
But
really
it's a
annoying.
perfect metaphor because those films, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
cost hundreds of
Yeah,
millions.
So if DC is muesli, no one will have said this before. This is brand new. DC is muesli. What was Marvel and what is it now? Oh well, I've already got the answer.
Go on.
I've already got the answer. Who here watched my? I wouldn't say rant because rant would suggest it was unhinged in some way. My annoyance at Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Ah, yeah, I was here. Yeah.
Yeah. So
think that's what it was.
early Marvel was Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Current Marvel
Like
is
Lucky
Curiously Cinnamon.
Oh, you think it's? Oh,
It's
okay.
no, it's cure. Like it's a line. It's like, oh, this cinnamon still got cinnamon, and I'm like, yeah, but like what you put it on sucks.
I think that, but so there's the cinnamon line is
that's
from
Marvel.
sugary sweetness to flavorlessness, right?
Yeah, and just like the whole thing just turns into cardboard. If I
Yeah.
pour cinnamon and hardly any sugar on cardboard and say eat that, it's less enjoyable than if I put cinnamon and sugar on something that's tasty.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that
It's a perfect through line.
that's perfect. So Marvel is Cinnamon Toast Crunch to Curiously Cinnamon, and DC is muesli. All right, so that's nailed. And the other point I wanted to make about it was, what is the point of going to the cinema? Do you know?
To see it the way they wanted you to watch it on a big screen.
I love the
with
cinematic experience.
the depth of sound and the music and the explosions being, big and, also having been in a room of an audience watching it is sometimes really nice to have that sort of like fuller feel of like how people are reacting to things and jokes and.
As long as there's no dickheads, because
I kind of like that. I
dickheads?
find that fun. If you go and watch like a The Meg or The Meg 2, I don't mind if everyone's sort of shouting out and throwing things at the screen and having a good time.
Yeah,
I can live with that.
At
But
the Meg
if you go,
is okay.
Yeah, but if you're gonna go and see like Killers of the Flower Moon, or something, then you want.
Yeah, Oppenheimer. That was odd.
Oh, you had.
Watched Oppenheimer and had some slightly weird children in the corner. I'm like, what are they doing at Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
What did they think they were going to see? And that enraged me slightly.
Yeah.
It would have been better if they didn't exist.
I got shushed at the new Indiana Jones that I went to
You
see
got
with a friend.
shushed?
Yeah, I
what
got
were you
shushed.
doing?
I was laughing because it's.
Oh,
terrible.
you were laughing.
I was laughing at it. Yeah.
And they shh.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
were
I wasn't
laughing at
laughing
bits
at the
that
wrong
weren't
I
parts.
wasn't laughing at like the comedy bits though. I was
Oh,
laughing at
right.
like disbelief.
Yeah.
How bad it
at how
was.
bad it was. Yeah.
I went to see Oppenheimer in 4DX.
Wow.
What's the X for?
The X is for
Extreme.
extreme. You're in a chair that
It
moves around. Very still film.
Except for the explosion bit, I imagine.
Yeah,
That
you just
one
tilt
bit
it
you
back
got
a
The chair
bit.
goes
But
fucking
for
crazy.
2 hours, 40 minutes, you're mostly still.
Because like the bits where they're just talking in a room, there isn't much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Not very dynamic.
When the explosion finally happens, it was less movement, more they just did like puff of air. They did like a puff.
Oh. I remember going to a 4D thing that was Bugs Life over in the States. Has anybody done that?
I think I
No.
have, yeah.
It's
I actually
great.
think I have done that.
And they, you have all the air
That's
blowing and
a
all that
theme
stuff.
park.
And then you have
Like something
like
runs
the
behind
feeling
you.
of
or-
ants running past your legs.
Something
and-
runs like behind your back or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
I thought
great.
that- I
remember
thought that was
going
pretty
there as a
good.
kid.
It's like Universal Studios or something.
Yeah.
It's one of them, yeah.
I did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh yeah,
I did that
years
one.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, at Disney, and that was good. That was great.
Remember watching that. That was a film, wasn't it?
That was a film.
Yeah.
Was it Rick Moranis?
Rick
It was Rick Moranis
yeah.
before he
Legend.
actually retired, didn't he? He
He
just
had to
went,
give
"Oh,
up
I'm
acting
I'm
because
not
his
doing
wife
this anymore."
died.
Oh,
He
Is
had to
that
look
why?
after his kids. Yeah,
wow.
his wife got cancer, and he said he wanted to have his children to have at least one parent. So just as he was, taking off, he he kind of he did Flintstones, and then he kind of quit Hollywood and to raise his kids.
Well, good.
Just
good,
tragic, but
good on
him.
Good on Rick. He was a good chap. Yeah, but the point I wanted to make: why do people go to the cinema? You gave answers, and they were adequate. But I was thinking when I posed the question, because it was a bit rhetorical.
Overpriced popcorn.
No, I wasn't even thinking that. I don't buy it. I wouldn't buy it. I'm just like, I'm not buying that. I don't care.
Missing out, man.
It's not even like I quite like the Butterkist stuff, which is like much just like caked in
It's
something.
not the same though. It's not the same as cinema popcorn.
You just find bits of it later on and go,
Yeah. That's the trouble.
yeah.
And then have a stroke.
That's only if it's there.
Right.
Could be like that. Could be that, which isn't like a stroke. No, what I meant was escapism. Yeah, people go to the cinema to escape their humdrum lives, their torturous lives in some cases. Some people have torturous lives. Would you believe it? I mean, even people who look ordinary can have tortured existences.
Living in misery.
People who look weird, obviously.
I think we meet them every day.
Well,
You might not know.
You see them every day.
Yeah.
Don't know about meet them.
No?
No.
They're.
Yeah,
I don't know. Some of them are a bit...
Do you think a tortured person would be like that?
Yeah, they're just... they don't know.
They don't know that they're tortured.
They don't know what they don't know.
They haven't been tortured enough.
Okay.
Because I don't think you could be like that and truly tortured.
Mm.
I think that would be a person who goes around saying, I'm tortured. And,
I
you
bet
go,
they're
and then you
one of
actually look
those.
into their life.
Yeah.
and
You're
you go,
not tortured.
No, you're not. You've never had to worry about anything.
You want someone who's
Jemima.
crippled in fear
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
days to come.
Those are the people that you want going to the cinema.
Yeah.
And those are the people
They
listening
need to escape.
to the news every day.
Yeah. The newsies.
They're the newsies.
So the cinema is about escapism.
Mm-hmm.
And the point was they're not offering it anymore, which is why it's dwindling. Because if you go to the cinema, like you go to see a Marvel movie, you go, oh, this is going to be people flying around and, stuff exploding and everything. But you kind of get there and they say, oh, well, you get very, very serious all of a sudden. Oh, the world sucks.
Mm.
And this thing happening over there is terrible. And you go, yeah, I know, but...
People are starving. There's
didn't-
racism. The government are evil.
Climate change. We better
Yeah.
factor that into the Marvel movie.
Yeah, like, oh, Iron Man, don't use any of your weapons because it's bad for the climate. And he goes, okay, well, we'll just let the aliens take over. Yeah, that's better. Then the aliens can live safely, provided they have, similar tolerances.
That would be
to
a
heat.
great twist in a Marvel film, though. If
Yeah.
the aliens were like, we have
got
all this
them.
renewable energy.
I've got them.
And he's like, no, don't. Because think about your CO2 footprint if you launch that rocket.
Oh, yeah. He gets blown up.
Yeah.
And then the
come in.
aliens take
renewable
over.
resources. And
And then maybe like the last 45 minutes of the film is those aliens just like killing ordinary humans, just like really properly taking them over, just like... You say, thank God we can breathe this air, like that kind of thing. That would be...
And
that
then
would
they
be
take
perfect.
the place of our lives, and then it's just like a family of aliens having a roast in a harvester.
Yeah.
Going, was it worth it?
Was it worth it?
No, they want to go to a Toby's for it to be worth it.
No.
And the funny thing is, they don't destroy any of the buildings, but on average, they're a foot taller than us.
So it's all a bit,
everything is like kind of slightly hard work.
Banging their heads.
Like,
Yeah.
chairs are a bit small. Just like,
Yeah.
God's sake. So they're getting annoyed. And then eventually but they get kind of a bit lazy and everything gets a bit comfortable apart from that, because that would always be annoying. They build other buildings that are a bit for taller people.
Mm.
And then eventually they get kind of, don't have too much to worry about because they've conquered everything. And then someone says, you know what? I'm a bit worried that although they solved the climate thing when we took over, people are more flatulent. We're more flatulent than humans are. That's one of the things that they do.
Okay.
We're more flatulent than humans. I think we could destroy the climate for ourselves. So what we've got to do is find the biggest among us and kill them all. And so just a kind of cycle of, as soon as you
Violence.
get comfortable, we have to do something awful.
Yeah.
Because there has
Maybe
to be
there's another
struggle.
alien invasion.
More aliens
Yeah,
come who are a
more
foot
advanced
taller
species.
again.
Oh, God.
God's sake. So they're like 8 foot now.
Mm.
They just come in and say, we're going to do this, and they go, well, we can destroy them, but it will create a cloud for a day. You're like, oh, okay. There's a volcano over there that's been erupting for a month that would be 100,000 times more than that there. I'm not thinking about that because nobody's really put that in my brain. So immediately we've painted a picture of how reality destroys movie franchises.
I think what we've done there is save the MCU.
Yeah, I think so. And definitely, if we can get someone from there, because they'll be worried now, someone from Disney comes along and says, what do you mean? What do you mean, though? They've watched this when it goes out. And we go, what do you mean, though, really? What do you mean? And I say, well, okay, if you can't comprehend the brilliance of what we've said, taste cinnamon toast. You're American, I'll say to them.
Of course.
Taste Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and now try Curiously Cinnamon. End of discussion.
They'll just, a single tear.
Single tear.
And they'll get it.
A penny will drop. A light bulb above the head.
And then Cinnamon Toast Boy will be scripted.
The next film.
Yeah.
And he will not degrade into anything curious.